Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Wonderful to have you here. Just give a minute. There's people in the waiting room, and we're so grateful to have you join us and help me to celebrate this new book. And we're just delighted to be sharing this with you. You're welcome to put in the chat where you're joining us from. Keep in mind that there is going to be a giveaway. So you can enter as many times as you want by putting a comment in the chat. We're going to be giving away one copy of the book and one place in the Lenten online retreat. So we would love for you to do that, and we'll announce the winners at the end of the call. But for now, I'm going to pull down that screen and just savor for a moment all of you beautiful people who have chosen to spend your part of your Friday with me as we celebrate this book. And I was looking online because I couldn't remember, but this book was inspired by a series of articles that I wrote for our blog in 2016. So it was just kind of fun to think about this being sort of an 8-year germination process. And finally, the book is released, and I'm really, really excited about it. So what we're going to do is Richard's here, Richard Bruxvoort Colligan, and I'm going to be bringing him up in just a moment. I'm so delighted he is joining me to help support this little mini journey where I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of the book and the contents of it and show you some of the beautiful art inside that Craig Yingst created for it. And I will be leading you in a meditation as well. So Richard's going to be weaving in his music in between that to help support this. So thank you everyone for being here and for your lovely words of support and enthusiasm in the comments there. So let's bring up Richard to sing our opening song. Thank you, Richard.
Hi, friends. I have kind of a fascination with change. Human beings, we are funny because we generally don't like change at all, and yet, aren't we sometimes so ready for change, desperate for change? We pray for change, wait, hope for change, and we don't know each other very well, but I bet there's something in your life that is in motion that has you thinking about the unknown and where your sense of trust is in your own life, all those sorts of things. This is a little song I wrote for a church last year. Song I wrote last year for a church that was in deep change. We thought that we were lost, and then we closed our eyes. We thought that we were lost, and then we closed our eyes. There's more going on than we can say. We are always on the way. We are always on the way. We thought that we had failed, and then we looked around. We thought that we had failed, and then we looked around. There's more going on than we can say. We are always on the way. We are always on the way. Aren't we? We thought we had arrived, and then we felt the wind. We thought we had arrived, and then we felt the wind. There's more going on than we can say. We are always on the way. We are always on the way. La 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 la. always on the way. We are always on the way. We are always on the way. We are always on the way. There's more going on than we can say. We are always on the way. We are always on the way. Oh, we are always on the way. We are always on the way. Thanks, Christine.
Thank you, Richard. Yeah, I love the song too. Lots of enthusiasm in the chat for that. Richard, maybe you could put your website with your music on it into the chat. I know Richard also, on the same day that my book was published, on the 2nd, which was 3 days ago, he also released a new album. And Richard is always meaning like a couple times a month, creating new songs. Most of them are versions of the Psalms, and they're fabulous. And we do a lot of collaboration with Richard, and we've commissioned lots and lots of songs from him. So grateful for that. And yes, we are always on the way. And I think in particular, when we get to the Lenten season, that we discover how much on the way we are, and how much we are always on the way, particularly if we show up to Lent with a heart ready to make a commitment to a deepened spiritual practice. And then as the weeks proceed, we, our focus kind of intensifies, and then it wanes, and we discover the reality of our humanity. Maybe we feel really enthusiastic on some days, and other days a little more distant from that sense of the divine presence. And so I love that image of the song. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of what this book is about. So it's called A Different Kind of Fast. And I originally I mentioned at the beginning, for those of you who came in a little bit late, it's how fabulous that we have over 150 people joining live, which is great. And I'm so grateful to you to help celebrate this. But this started as a series of articles in 2016, and I was sort of inspired by this idea of, we're always invited to consider fasting as a Lenten practice. And I thought about how often, people give up chocolate or things like that. And I'm not denigrating that at all. However, I do sometimes hear language that sounds a lot like a second chance at New Year's resolutions for Lent, which is not actually what Lent is about. Lent is, of course, about this journey into the heart of the desert that Jesus makes for those 40 days before he begins his ministry. It's a time to enter into that place of radical encounter with the divine, to really sort of focus our spiritual practice. And I thought fasting was such a beautiful image for so many things that we might want to give up, not just food, during the Lenten season. So what I did was I created, I created sort of a different fasting image for each week. And Craig Yingst, who created the block art prints for my Mary book, if you have Birthing the Holy, you'll know that in that book, he created 31 block art prints to go with the 31 names of Mary that I explored in that book. And I was really excited that Craig was up for helping me again and creating his beautiful art. So the book basically, week by week, there's a different theme, and then during day by day, there's a different practice. So I'm just going to go over the themes and the practices really briefly here before we move into some meditation. And so the first week, Ash Wednesday week, of course, is a little shorter than the other weeks. But we explore fasting from consuming of all different kinds. And then all of the fasts then have a sort of complementary energy to them of what we embrace. So it's not just about letting something go, but it's also about what we want to fill that space with. And so we fast from consuming, and then we embrace simplicity. And then in week 1, this is probably my favorite image from Craig's. And I should say these images are inspired by the scripture stories. Each week has a particular scripture story that goes with it, and also a particular story from the desert elders, desert mothers and fathers. And we're going to be encountering one of the desert fathers here in a few minutes. But week 1 is to fast from multitasking and inattention, all the things that distract us, and embracing the gift of bringing our full presence to the moment and connecting that to that beautiful scripture of Jesus receiving that gift of anointing and the oil being poured out on him. Then the second week is to fast from anxiety over scarcity. This I was reading a really good book. Now I can't remember the name of it. The Age of Uncertainty, or The Age of Anxiety, I think that's what it's called. Astra Taylor. But what she talks about is how we all there's an existential anxiety that comes with being human, right? That we have to face, our own mortality, and we have to face the losses that we will experience. But there's also a manufactured anxiety that comes from living in a capitalist culture where, wealth is kind of hoarded, and people are really struggling. And so how do we fast from that anxiety over scarcity when our reality might be that we don't feel like we have enough? And then we explore this invitation to embrace a radical trust in abundance, and the scripture story being the widow giving from her poverty as that act of generosity. So really it's about this: how do we cultivate the virtue that helps to fill that space, and then to enliven us and to deepen our trust and our relationship with the divine. Then we fast from speed and rushing, the invitation to embrace slowness and pausing. And Jesus often goes up to the mountain to rest, to withdraw from the crowds of the people, to give himself that time of Sabbath and rest, which I think we all hunger for and seek. The 4th week is this invitation to fast from strength and holding it all together. I don't know if any of you have an over responsibility complex, but there's this sense of sometimes particularly I think in the culture we live in, we feel like we can't be vulnerable, right? We don't allow ourselves the space for grief, especially over an extended period of time that might be needed. And the invitation is to embrace tenderness and vulnerability. And this story, this black print, is from that image of Jesus weeping over the death of Lazarus. And then week 5 is fasting from planning and deadlines. And I am a recovering planner. I love planning. I haven't let go of it entirely because it's a very useful skill to have. However, there are parts of my life, especially my spiritual life, where a fast from planning and deadlines is a very enriching practice, because then I can embrace what is actually unfolding within me, what is actually ripening within me, as opposed to inserting my agenda or my idea of what should be happening. And the image there is from the passage of the vine and the branches. And then week 6 is, of course, the Holy Saturday in Holy Week, being that day. I love that day because Jesus has died and he hasn't yet resurrected. And so much of our lives are lived in that in-between space when we don't have any certainty, we don't have any sense of control over what's happening. And so we're invited to fast from certainty and then embrace mystery and waiting. And then just to give you an overview, so each of the weeks of those themes has a set of practices that go with it. The first day is the practice of Lectio Divina. And of course, in the introduction, there's an explanation of all of these practices if you're not familiar with them. The second day is an invitation into breath prayer. The third day is a Visio Divina practice with the block print, the icon that Craig Inks created. On the fourth day, there's a meditation with one of the desert elders and one of the stories that they tell in the sayings that we have from them, these second and third century men and women who fled to the desert to lead a life of radical simplicity and intimacy with God. On day 5, you're invited onto a contemplative walk connected to the theme of the week. So there's some guidance for that. Day 6 is an invitation into an imaginative prayer, which is inspired a lot by Ignatian prayer and sort of entering into the scripture slightly differently than Lectio Divina, in a way that really gets in touch with all of your sensory experience and having conversations with people in that scene. And then the 7th day, there is a creative ritual, some reflection questions, and a closing blessing. So that's that's kind of the overview of the book. And I'm going to just take this down here. So as you can see, a lot of richness, and our Lent course is that our Lent course will have audio guidance, audio recordings from me for each of the days for all of those meditations, if you like to be guided in them as opposed to just reading them. So I'm excited about that as well. So let me hand it back to Richard. I see Richard's asking about JPEGs for those illustrations. That sounds beautiful. Yeah, maybe send me an email about that, and I'll have to think about how to make that work. But that would be lovely to share those in ways. Thank you. Thanks, Carmen. It's wonderful to see you here. Great. Thank you, everybody. All right. So I'm going to hand this over to Richard. He's going to sing us another song before we move into our meditation time.
Thanks, Christine, and thanks for wondering with me about those that artwork and how I might share that with the community. This song came from, well, let's see, did it come directly from your book, Christine? I think you had used this maybe before, this poem from Rilke that I wasn't aware of before you introduced me to it. It's from a series from Rilke, poems called Sonnets to Orpheus. And I looked them up. Listen to this poem. This is one translation. Ready? Fear not suffering's gravity. Return to earth its weighty share. Heavy are its mountains, heavy the seas. Fear not suffering's gravity. Oh my goodness, that was so striking to me. And in the book, it's in this perfect place in the introduction to get us into one of the themes of Lent. So I wrote this little song because I wanted to learn this quote. I'm putting the lyrics there, or Rilke's, one translation of Rilke's words in the chat if you're interested. Fear not the pain. Fear not the pain. Let its weight fall back into the earth. Fear not the pain. Fear not the pain. Let its weight fall back into the earth. For heavy are the mountains, heavy the sea. For heavy are the mountains, heavy the seas. Fear not the pain. pain. Let its weight fall back into the earth. Fear not the pain. Fear not the pain. Let its weight fall back into the earth. For heavy are the mountains, heavy the sea. For heavy are the mountains, heavy the seas. Fear not the pain. Fear not the pain. Thanks, friends.
Thank you, Richard. That's beautiful. I was so excited when Richard told me he'd written this new song based on this poem, which happens to be one of my favorite poems ever. And I couldn't figure out why I had never asked him to write a song about it before. So I'm so happy now that there is one. Just that image of asking the mountains and asking the seas to help hold our heaviness, I think is just such a gorgeous and stunning image. So let's bring that spirit, that energy of letting the earth hold us into our meditation. We're going to be entering into the desert for just a little bit right now. So I invite you to take a few nice deep breaths and to settle into your chair or your seat, wherever you're seated, and to take a moment to breathe, to feel that steadiness of breath, the gift of knowing that it will continue, that rise and fall, even when you're not aware of it. And then you can bring your awareness to it and really savor the pleasure of a deep breath. And then letting your breath carry your awareness down to your heart. And taking a moment even to put your hand on your heart and again to notice and savor that primal rhythm of your heartbeat, which, like the breath, continues and is sustained without you needing to do anything. And the heart being this place of intimate encounter with the divine, because it is the place the mystics tell us where the spark of the holy resides in us, in every single one of us. Every person you meet, every being you meet has this spark or flame of the divine shimmering and radiating in them. And so we can rest in this heart sanctuary, this place where we can open to the gift of receiving what comes and to cultivating a relationship with the Holy One, to drop out of the mind where we love to plan and to rush and to worry and to all of those things. And in the heart, we're invited to rest and to be. And even to take a moment now to simply rest into that heart sanctuary in the presence of the beloved. And allow yourself to be for a few moments. And then to imagine in this heart sanctuary that there is a door that opens and you can cross a threshold into this desert landscape, this place that Jesus was called, that many of the mystics were called into this place of deepened encounter, of the stripping away of all that is not needed. And as you step into this desert landscape, to be aware that the cave of your heart is just behind you if you need to retreat into that space of rest. But as you stand and you gaze upon this landscape in front of you, the stone, know the heaviness of the stone, the ancientness of it, the solidity of it, the endurance of stone. And give you anything that feels heavy on your heart. You can offer that to the stone, to the mountains, and ask earth and ask the desert to help you hold whatever feels heavy, that you do not need to do this alone. And then you notice that there is a figure walking towards you. This is one of the desert fathers who is coming to spend a little bit of time with you, to support you, to guide you. And this is Abba Moses, is his name. And as he approaches, notice how he appears to you, the kind of energy he holds, the way his face looks, the way he's dressed. Taking a moment to be present to this wisdom guide who lived hundreds of years ago, but is present to us through the veil, through that thin place between the worlds. And when Abba Moses comes near, you can welcome him, offer him gratitude for his presence, and then share anything that's on your heart right now. Share anything that you've been holding. It might be something that is a challenge right now, or it might be something you're celebrating. Just to offer that to him, to share what is on your heart. And then listen for any wisdom that he wants to offer in response. And then Abba Moses shares with you one of his stories, one of the sayings that has endured over time. And we're just going to do a really brief Lectio practice with this saying of Abba Moses. The teachings of the desert mothers and fathers is that the cell, the monastic cell, which is kind of parallel to the cave of the heart, right? The cell is really within you. And the monk also had a physical cell. But the invitation is to connect to that cell that's inside of you. And Abba Moses said, sit in your cell and your cell will teach you everything. And in the Lectio Divina practice, you might see if there is a word from that saying that shimmers to you or calls to you. It might be the whole phrase, but just to listen for that. Sit in your cell, and your cell will teach you everything. And then letting that word or phrase echo in your heart for a moment. Sit in your cell, and your cell will teach you everything. Letting that word or phrase unfold for a moment, welcoming in any images or memories or feelings. And then listening again. Sit in your cell, and your cell will teach you everything. And just opening right now to any sense of invitation that's coming forth out of this meditation experience so far. Is there a summons to a new awareness that you're noticing? And then letting go of words and images for a moment. And again, resting into the deep heart of being, of breathing into the heart, the cave of the heart, and letting go of any doing or pondering and resting into being for a moment, being with the beloved. And then coming back to your breath, invite you into a few moments of breath prayer. Your breath prayer might be simply breathing the word or phrase that came in your Lectio practice in and out. But this is a suggestion. As you breathe in, just whisper to yourself the holy, and as you breathe out, is everywhere. Breathing in, the holy, breathing out is everywhere. And allowing a few cycles of breath as you whisper these words to yourself and holding that awareness that comes from sitting in your cell, that deep presence and attentiveness to the divine within you, to then discover that the holy is everywhere. So let's breathe together for a few moments. And gently letting that go. And then returning your awareness to Abba Moses, who's been present with you and praying alongside of you. Bringing your awareness back to Abba Moses for a moment. And Abba Moses offers you blessings of deep peace. And he wants to offer you a gift that symbolizes this deep peace. And so he holds out his hands to you, and you receive whatever that gift might be, that symbol of that deep peace. And rest for a moment with your hands and his hands connected, receiving that gift. And let that gift inhabit your body somehow. So bringing that symbol, that gift into your body being, and allowing a moment to take a shape or a gesture of some kind that helps to express what this gift is. So to allow this gift to really be present within you in the fullness of who you are. And then coming back to yourself and to Abba Moses and offering a deep bow of gratitude for his presence, knowing that you can call upon him at any time. And then very gently connecting to your breath again and bringing your awareness back to the room that you're in, while keeping this thread of awareness of the holy, this awareness of the inner cell that calls you to your deepest heart's being. And invite you to take a couple of minutes right now if you want to journal anything or write anything down, or simply just be in the kind of wake of that prayer, like that image of the way the prayer the waves of that prayer continue to kind of span outward and continue to impact us. So let's take a couple of minutes to simply be present to whatever has been stirring in our heart during this time of meditation. And take another moment or two. And then to bring yourself back to the room fully. Take a moment to orient yourselves. So I'm going to turn it over here to Richard in a moment to sing to us of that deep peace that Abba Moses invited us into. And after Richard sings, I'm going to share I'm going to invite you to share anything in the chat, any images that came from that meditation. So if you want to enter them in now, but I'll also invite you to do it after the song so that we can share a little bit of our experience together. So I'm going to turn it over to Richard.
Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the running wave. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the running wave to you. peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the flowing air. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the shining stars. Deep peace of the gentle night. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Oh, deep peace of the quiet earth. Oh, deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars. Deep peace of the gentle night. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace of the shining stars. Oh, deep peace of the gentle night. Moon and stars pour their healing light on you. Deep peace of the light of the world to you. Oh, deep peace of the light of the world. Oh, deep peace of the light of the world to you. Deep peace of the light of the world to you. To you. To you. If you like, you can sing that line with me. To you. Deep peace of the light of the world. Deep peace of the light of the world to you. To you. Deep peace of the light of the world to you. To you. One more time. Deep peace of the light of the world to you. To you.
Thank you, Richard. That's a beautiful version of the Deep Peace song. I'm not sure I've heard that from you before, so thank you for that. And for inviting us into an embodied sense of that deep peace through the gift of sound and music. So there's some beautiful sharings already in the chat. Feel free to enter in any images that came to you during the meditation so we can share together. I'll read out some of them here for right now. In the turmoil of today's world, we can still experience the gift of peace in the cell of our hearts. Abba Moses handed me a rock to remind me the earth will hold all my heaviness, but I offer it to the earth. We do not journey alone. I was gifted a stone for steadiness. Everything will teach me, and in turn, I will share with everything from the deep peace of my heart. These are such beautiful prayers. Rocks as in a firm foundation, as in crying out for justice, as in seeing from new heights. Abba Moses with the halo offering me a staff with which to climb. I found a warm, gentle light illuminating a space to rest in the divine. Sit in your cell. Wouldn't it be wonderful to have dancing monk illustrations for each of the Abba and Ammas that will be in your book? Yeah, we do have, oh, thanks, Melinda, for putting that. We do have Abba Moses and Amma Syncletica as part of our Dancing Monk Icon series. And I know Craig Yingst actually has his own prints of some of the desert monks. So we'll have to look through those and maybe see about including links to those in the retreat. I always feel more at peace after time with Christine, meditating with all of you and hearing the calming music. That's wonderful to hear there, Marta. Thank you. Abba Moses offered me sage. It brings many things to me. Sit, patience, tender self-compassion, the gift of the lotus. I'm carrying something today that's heavy. It was good to have some space to breathe deeply into it and release some anxiety. Blessings to you, Therese, in that, and letting the earth help to hold you. I was offered this message: sit, be, move from this space of deep being. Beautiful. Without carving out time to sit in our cell, it is easy to get caught up in the busyness, and busyness for the sake of remaining busy teaches us nothing except anxiety. Yes, well said. We lose the ability to savor quiet and inner peace. Yes, that busyness is just kind of a vicious cycle, isn't it? It never teaches us that peace. I'm mostly housebound at this time with ME and asthma. Abba Moses gave me breath. Use it. Breathe deeply. Perfect for me right now. Blessings for you, Brenda. Healing blessings. I understand that being an anchoress, sometimes an involuntary anchoress, but most of the time voluntary. Love the idea of sitting in my cell. I was greeted with my mentor, Abba Dick, who is deceased, and he offered me his hands as he did when he was alive, and an orchid to carry into this Lenten journey. Deep peace of the light of God to all of you, the image of a smile. I love Richard's music, so beautiful. Open hands signifying receptivity and emptiness. Gentle, quiet, breath, life. These are all beautiful. I'll read a couple more, but I also wanted to give time if anyone has any questions about the book or the process or the retreat or anything like that. I'm happy to answer some of those. So let's go through a couple more of these. As offered St. Bridget's cross in the form of a necklace to wear. I love the gifts that arrive. It's always really delightful to see. I was handed a vial of tears, invited to re-enter the cave of my heart to learn peace. We do not journey alone, deep peace. My eyes were drawn to a stone with the word wonder on it and the hummingbird feeding outside my window. Gifted a glowing mini pointed gold star that fits in my hand and my heart. I can return to the center that is pure and true love and presence. I need to spend more time sitting in my cell, a regular practice that is priority. Beautiful reminder. Richard, thank you for the reminder that peace is not always still and quiet. Lovely. Okay, let me see if there's any questions. And we'll have the chat transcript for these beautiful sharings. Such a gift to see, just even to scan over right now, all the beautiful, beautiful ways that meditation has manifested. So I don't see any questions about that. So I'll just say that, yeah, so the book is available now in the US. I think in other countries it's won't be till the beginning of February. And the retreat, the Lent retreat, begins on February 14th, Valentine's Day this year, which is always lovely. And yeah, and let's see, Sean asks, how did you discern the various contemplative practices for each day during the week? Really, it was some of the practices that I most love to do myself and that I often offered to this community. The contemplative walk felt important because I always like to include something that's embodied. And of course, if you're not able to walk as well, I always encourage people, this is also in the description of the practice in the book, I always encourage people to go on journeys in their imagination because the imaginal world is just as real as anything that we can experience in the physical world. But Lectio Divina and breath prayer and Visio Divina, those are all practices very near and dear to my heart. Writing the blessings was a real gift, and I'm going to share one of the blessings at the end of our time together. Just to give you a sense of that, just so you know, the meditation I led you in today is actually not in the book. I decided I wanted to offer you something similar to what the book content was, but a little bit different, just to give you an invitation into the spirit of this journey of the fasting, but in particular that sense of handing over that any fear that we might have, and then resting into the cell, and resting into that sense of deep peace, and resting into that sense of the holy being everywhere. And Brenda says that in the UK, Blackwell's dispatched her copy of the book yesterday. So that's great to know that even in the UK and Europe, that you might be getting your book sooner than I was anticipating. So that's lovely to hear. Patty Joy, I'm sorry to hear about your fall. Many healing blessings for that. I'm really sorry. Yeah, I'm glad that you have the cell to hold you. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Well, I don't see any other questions. I'd love to hear more about the retreat, although I know you have a good outline online. How do we participate in the retreat? Okay, I see the questions there. So Melinda put in a link to register there, and you can join us. So I'm excited. The retreat also has, I should mention, we also have some other guest teachers as well. Amanda Dillon, who is a dear friend of mine in Dublin, and she's a scholar of biblical studies and visual art. And so she offers a weekly meditation video on some pieces of art connected to the weekly theme. Those are about 10 minutes each. And then Jamie also does a dancing mindfulness practice. So those are in addition to the practices in the book, but they help to enrich and deepen the experience. And you get to discern which practices you want to enter into as well. So that's always an invitation. How do we balance letting go and learning from our experiences and pain? Yeah. That's a wonderful question. And I think it's the journey of our human experience to learn how to surrender and to soften, and to, I think for me, it's about letting a bigger presence hold me. So that is the divine, the beloved, that's this angel, saints, and ancestors, that's the earth and the seas also. So all of that, all of those bodies, right, can help me to hold whatever it is I'm letting go of. And then when I have a little bit of that freedom from feeling weighed down or feeling kind of triggered by things, then I can reflect on and I can glean the wisdom that comes. So that's just a brief thought, since we're almost at our time. So thank you. If you have questions about doing a group study of the book, yes, please feel free to email us through our website. Maybe Melinda can put in her email and we can certainly discuss that. We definitely have discounts for groups, and we also have scholarships for people who aren't able to afford. We have a sliding scale of prices on the website, but if you can't afford that, please get in touch with us, because accessibility is really important to us. So yes, so please feel free to get in touch. So I'm going to hand this back to Richard. We're going to have a closing song and a closing blessing. So I'm going to bring Richard back up here.
Thanks, Christine. Yeah. Put yourselves on the ways along ago. Remember the path of rest. Put yourselves on the way long ago. Remember the path of rest. The ancient path of rest, my friend. The ancient path of rest. Put yourselves on the ways of long ago. Remember the path of rest. Put yourselves on the ways of long ago. Remember the path of peace. Put yourselves on the ways of long ago. Remember the path of peace. The ancient path of peace, my friends. The ancient path of peace. Put yourselves on the ways of long ago. Remember the path of peace. Put yourselves on the ways of long ago. Remember the path of love. Oh, put yourselves on the ways of long ago. Remember the path of love. The ancient path of love, my friends. The ancient path of love. Oh, put yourselves on the ways of long ago. Remember the path of love. Put yourselves on the ways of long ago. Remember the path of life. Sing with me. Put yourselves on the ways of long ago. Remember the path of life. Good. Let's sing that again for each other, real soft. Put yourselves on the ways. Put yourselves on the ways of long ago. Remember the path of life. Put yourselves on the ways of long ago. Remember the path of life. Oh. Thank you, friends.
Your return. I love that song. That particular song is on one of our albums as well as on Richard's albums. So make sure to check out his website again. Maybe Richard, you could put that in there again, since there were a couple of questions about where to find your songs. I'm going to read a closing blessing, and when I'm done with that, Melinda's going to announce the winners of the copy of the book and the online retreat. So, and thank you, Wen, for entering that. I love that we have such a community spirit here. So this is one of the blessings from the book, and it's a blessing I wanted to leave you with today. Each of the chapters has a closing blessing. Holy Creator, you formed us from the dust of the earth, gathering up mud and dirt in your warm hands, molding and shaping and sending your spirit through us until we came alive and breathed and danced and loved. These dusty origins began with stars exploding miles away, with eons of light expanding, contracting to arrive in this tender human form. May we remember our roots in earth's rich soil and heaven's luminous reach. May we know ourselves as radically and tenderly flesh, but also radiance of spirit sustaining our every moment. May death become a sister, as our friend St. Francis taught, a wise one to help us see all that is essential in our lives. May she help us to yield thoughts, patterns, and ways of being which distract us and exhaust us, and empower us to inhabit the fullness of love's call. Strip us of regret, so when our physical end does finally arrive, we can step across that bright doorway with arms wide and hearts open, ready to be gathered back fully into your embrace. So I'm going to invite up Melinda just to make that announcement, and then we'll close our time together.
Hello. So Sharon Egan is the winner of our copy of the book, and Anne Lore won a spot in the retreat. So I'll put my email address again in the chat. Please reach out to me with your contact information, and we will get those to you. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Melinda. So yes, feel free to get in touch with Melinda and give her your mailing address or email address to claim those gifts. And thank you, everyone. What a total just delight and treat and pleasure to spend this hour with you. And thank you for helping me to celebrate this book. I'm really excited to release it into the world and hope and pray that it brings some comfort and some inspiration and some solace. And a special thank you to Richard, who's one of our very treasured Wisdom Council members and a very longtime friend and creative collaborator. And I'm just always so grateful for the way his music can help to uplift and inspire and, yes, make us ponder all of the beautiful things of life. So thank you to all of you, and there'll be a recording going up in a little while, and we're just so grateful for all of you and for this really beautiful community. So blessings, everybody.